Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into this video. I'm a clinical psychology graduate student at Alliant International University, and I will be discussing the skill for maintaining or improving relationship effectiveness, otherwise known as give. And this skill comes from dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, which was created by Marsha Linehan. Relationship effectiveness is one of the three core interpersonal effectiveness skills within DBT. And so the other skills are objective effectiveness and self respect effectiveness. And before we dive fully into relationship effectiveness, let's first differentiate between these three interpersonal effectiveness skills. Interpersonal effectiveness is one of the four modules within DBT skills. Simply put, the goal of this module is to make effective interactions with others. So the core skills of this module are for making or denying requests and managing interpersonal conflicts, while also maintaining or improving the relationship with the other person and also maintaining or improving our own self respect. And in any interaction, it is important to clarify what your main goal of that interaction is. And so this goal of the interaction is going to be what differentiates of which of the interpersonal effectiveness skills you might focus on. So if your goal of the interaction is getting what you want, you might find yourself asking, like, what specific change do I want after the interaction? That would be focusing on objective effectiveness skills. Or let's say your goal is keeping a positive relationship with the other person, and you might be thinking, how do I want the other person to feel about me after this interaction? This would be focusing on relationship effectiveness skills. And then finally, if your goal is to keep your self respect, and you may wonder how you will feel about yourself after that interaction with the other person, and that would be focusing on the self respect effectiveness. And so, all three of these should be considered in every situation and every interaction. However, one type usually will take priority over the others, and it all goes back to what it is that you want out of that interaction. So, specifically for relationship effectiveness, my friend David here is going to help us kind of explain what relationship effectiveness means more fully as he is working on improving his positive relationships in his life. So, relationship effectiveness. Well, thank you for letting me know you don't know what that means, David. We'll dive into it more. So, relationship effectiveness, again, is improving or maintaining a positive relationship while still obtaining your objective. So, the main focus is on how you obtain that objective. And doing this by acting in a way that the other person is still going to feel good about themselves and about you after you obtain your objective. So let's use an example of how we can differentiate between relationship effectiveness and getting your objective. So let's use the objective that we want. I want my friend to remember my birthday. They keep forgetting my birthday, and I really want them to finally remember. So, one way that I could get them to remember to do this is to throw a tantrum every time they forget my birthday, and surely I will achieve that objective that, all right, because of all my tantrums, they're going to remember my birthday, but they might remember it with bitterness instead of love and affection and truly wanting to remember my birthday for remembering my birthday. Whereas relationship effectiveness focuses on a different how we can achieve that objective. So this could be gently reminding them a few days ahead of time, like, hey, my birthday's coming up in a few days, or asking them in an easy manner to put your birthday on the calendar. So asking them of maybe where their calendar is, what the calendar looks like for the month of July, and saying, hey, for that July 12th, why don't you mark my birthday right there? So, in the end, both objectives are achieved in these scenarios, but the difference is on how they were achieved, which is relationship effectiveness. So, how do we achieve relationship effectiveness? We do this through four skills that can be known as GIVE. And the acronym stands for being gentle, act interested, validate, and using an easy manner. So, using these all four as how we achieve that objective. Make sense? All right, don't worry, David. We'll go into each of these a little bit more. All right, so G, being gentle. Overall, this skill focuses on being nice and respectful in your approach. And there are four specific things to remember in order to achieve being gentle. So, first, not attacking the other person. People will likely not receive attacks towards them very well and will not like having to respond towards direct anger. Next is not threatening the other person. And so, not making hidden or outright threats in order to get someone to do something. So, a threat is when you say you are going to do something if the other person does not change what they are going to do. So, a threat would be, if you don't answer my phone call, I'm going to block your number forever. David, that sounds like it's the beginning of a threat. Remember, we have to be gentle. Next, in order to be gentle, is not judging the other person. So this means no name calling, guilt tripping the other person, or implying shoulds of what you assume the other person should or should not be doing. So instead of saying, you should know to answer my phone calls, a more effective and gentle way to say that would be, I appreciate it when you answer my phone calls. And then the last component of being gentle is not disrespecting the other person. And so this can include like not sneering at the other person or walking out on the conversation, and just all to say being respectful and nice in your approach as you're trying to achieve your objective in being gentle. Next up in the GIVE acronym is acting interested. So this involves listening to the other person and showing interest into what the other person is saying. All right, David, doesn't sound like exactly acting interested in this scenario, so let's keep talking about how we can act interested in the future. So, acting interested also involves not interrupting the other person, so giving them full space to talk about their whatever it is their point of view, their reasons, and not interrupting them or talking over what they're saying. This also means not making assumptions of what the other person might be thinking or doing in their actions and letting them have a chance to explain themselves. And finally, being patient. And all four of these you can are to are a way to act interested in what the other person is saying. This is not to say you have to necessarily be interested in what the other person is saying, but at least showing that respect that you are listening to what the other person is saying so they feel better about you after the interaction is over. V in GIVE stands for validate. Validation is taking into account a person's past or current situation in order to understand their feelings, thoughts, or actions. And so this can be done with both words and actions to validate someone. David, both those words and actions that you seem to be doing are not validating that person, whoever you're saying you to. So let's talk a little bit more about how to validate. So, validating with words. So, this is using your words to tell the other person what they're going through is understandable from their perspective and finding their kernel of truth through their perspective. So, validating with words could be, I can see how you felt scared in that moment when I did not answer your phone call. And whereas an invalidating statement would be, not answering your phone call is not a big deal, you are just overreacting. However, sometimes just validating with words can actually be invalidating if the actions don't back it up. So consider you're in your house is on fire, you're screaming out the window, help, it's hot in here. And a firefighter yells back at you, I can see you are hot, instead of climbing to get you out of the fire. So while with words, the firefighter was validating and acknowledging and understanding your experience, the actions of, or lack thereof, of taking action was invalidating your situation of being in a fire. And so, this is all to say, validation is all about understanding that person's perspective, understanding their truth. And conversely, of what validation is not agreement. You don't have to agree with what the other person is either thinking or feeling or doing. Validation is also not about making something valid. So it's not about trying to change something and seeing it as valid. It's about understanding the perspective. And validation is not complimenting. It is not just reinforcing that person. Oh, don't worry, you are a great person. So don't worry about this. You're a great sister. It's not about just complimenting the person, but understanding their perspective from where their feelings, thoughts, and actions are coming from. All right, and so last in give, we have using an easy manner. So this is being lighthearted in your approach. This is smiling and soothing the other person, using a little humor. Sometimes humor can get a little lost in translation, so use sparingly. But look at these two different presentations of David. So one smiling, having that easy manner, and the other one maybe a little bit less so. And just think of which one are you more likely to feel more positive about after the interaction. I think I would probably feel better about the interaction with this David here with that smile. All right, so let's try putting it all together now with all of the give skills that we've learned so far. So let's use this scenario of I've been asking to hang out with my friend for a few weeks now. However, they keep canceling plans last minute, and this last time that they canceled, they said that they had an emergency, but I found out that they actually like went and hung out with someone else, and like they went to this concert. And so when I found this out, I felt one, angry that my friend lied to me, and also sad because they keep canceling me and I haven't seen them in a while. So, how can I use give skills to address this conflict with my friend while also maintaining our relationship? So, one way to kind of go about this, saying, hey, the last few times I asked to hang out, you have canceled. It sounds Like you're really busy and having to cancel is understandable, although I'm feeling hurt that the cancellations have happened last minute. Also, last time you canceled for emergency, but you went to a concert instead. Finding this out made me feel sad and angry, and I appreciate the times we hang out, but we cannot see each other if plans are always canceled. I'm hoping we can talk more about this, then kind of giving them a minute to respond, and doing that all with that easy manner and lighthearted approach. All right, so thank you everyone for listening, and thank you, David, for helping me explain this wonderful give skill.